Good evening, everybody. You are listening to a Radulich and Broadcasting premiere podcast. We're doing something special this evening. First, I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. And Jason Teasley, who is here with us. How are you doing, Jason?
Doing good. Glad to be here, and excited to have this interview.
Yeah, we are doing an interview. We don't do many of these, but Jason Teasley pushed me into the pool and said, we're doing interviews. And when I dried off, I said, okay, fine. So if you recall, we just did a long road to ruin on the Zoombies Trilogy. Zoombies 1, 2, and Aquarium of the Dead, which came out at the end of May. Many of you may have seen Army of the Dead, but you missed a great one if you haven't seen Aquarium of the Dead. And so Jason contacted the director, Glenn R. Miller, of the Zoombies Trilogy and a few other films from the Asylum, and he deigned to come talk to us today. How you doing, Mr. Miller?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you guys doing?
We are doing very well. As I said, we just did a whole review of the trilogy at once, and Jason and I had a great time watching these movies. Let's just jump right.
Why would you subject yourself to such torture? The first one, maybe, okay. The second one, sure. The meerkat between the dude's legs, totally. But
we love bad movies. We did Santa Jaws for Christmas, and we actually I was looking through your IMDb, and I already have my Christmas plans for this year because Santa Claus, yes please.
Oh God, we don't mention Santa Claus. We never talk about Santa Claus. Santa Claus does not exist, okay?
So it looks like most of your credits, you've been the assistant director, and then you've had a handful of director projects over the past couple of years. How did you start off in Hollywood?
I always had a passion for it when I was a kid. I grew up watching Spielberg and Zemeckis and Dante movies and stuff, and I always had a fondness for them. I always loved walking out of the theater when I was a kid and just feeling that warm sun hit you and having that good feeling after you walked out of a theater going, yeah, that was a good movie. That was awesome. So it was always a passion of mine. When I was in high school, I had a camera in my backpack all the time, going around shooting friends at school and just messing around and stuff, and having parties at, our parents' houses and stuff on the weekends or whatever. And so I always had this thing that I always wanted I just wanted to record and make videos and make movies or whatever and stuff. So finally in my 20s, I got kicked in my ass, and I got my mentor at the time. He said, why don't you go to college? Be around your peers. Be around people who want to make movies. And I said, that's a really, really good idea. So I enrolled in college when I was 26, a little late in the game, but better late than never. Went through at least 4 or 5 years of college and stuff. Graduated back in 2006. Did a few PA gigs, and then I started gripping and ADing. And I've stuck with ADing. I've given up the grip belt. I hung my grip belt up. It's nice and bronzed over there in the corner. I've been, everybody's favorite directors almost now for 10, 12 years now. I've been ADing for them, the, great directors like Anthony C. Ferrante, Jared Cohen, Nick Simon, the list goes on and on if you check out my IMDb and stuff, but Fred Olin Ray, been their ADs and just helping them create their content for the last, like I said, 10 or 12 years and stuff. Every once in a while, I get hit with something that kind of tickles me a little bit, and I go, ooh, what is that? The Cohen, the Zombie Stoner was one of the first ones that really grabbed my attention. I said, what is that, and how do I get on that? That was over for the guys over at the Asylum, and I said, please, yes, please. And they're like, yeah, this sounds pretty good for you. So I took that on. That was fun. That was Scotty Mullen's first writing gig, feature-wise. He and I just clicked right away, and we got the material right away. I knew exactly what he was going for, and We collaborated so much. I actually had Scotty on set with me every day, which was so much fun to have a writer on set that could just help do rewrites, help me understand what he was thinking when he was writing things and stuff. It was a lot of fun. Scotty and I still talk to this day. He wrote the first two Zombie movies. He did 1 and 2. He was unavailable for Aquarium, but the writer basically went through, watched the first two Zombie movies, got the structure, understood what it was, and basically try to emulate and mimic that and stuff. So we have the same type of feel with Aquarium of the Dead that's out now.
That is great. I'm actually looking through your assistant director credits, and boy, there's a couple here that are personal favorites of mine. Barely Legal, Yes Please.
Yeah, that's with Jose Montesinos. He's a good friend of mine. That was his first venture into directing for the Asylum. Later on, he would actually get some of the gigs that he really wanted. But that was one he was just a gun for hire kind of thing. But that was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. Got a lot of good pictures on set of that one, and just a lot of fun behind the scenes stuff that we did on that show. That was a good one.
So tell me about the Zoombies idea. You said that came from a script from another person. Like, how did the whole development process of that movie come together?
So Zoombies came along at the Asylum. So what happens is they sit in a room maybe once or twice a year or so, and they come up with ideas. What can we do? What do our investors want? What do the buyers want? What do they want overseas? Whatever and stuff. And Zoombies was one that was kind of like had been kind of going around in the calendar. They call it the calendar over there at the Asylum. It had been making its rounds in the calendar and stuff, and it kept getting pushed back and stuff. And I saw that on there. I said, "What is Zoombies?" And they said, "Well, it's a zoo with zombie zoo animals." I said, "Okay, that's kind of cool." And I asked the producing team, the guys, that's David Latt, Paul Bales, and David Ramaui. I asked the three of them. I said, "So what is this movie supposed to be?" And they basically said it's kind of like a Jurassic Park, but with zombie zoo animals. And I said, "Great. I love it. Spielberg genre at its lowest. Give me. I want. So I put my name in, and they said, "Yeah, man, take this. You're going to have fun with this." I found out that Scotty was writing, which was even better. I got the script, and I said, "Wow, this is totally a Spielberg-esque type movie done on the low." And we thought about where we wanted to take it and stuff, and we just decided to land just straight here in Hollywood. We shot it here in L.A., Griffith Park, the L.A. Arboretum, other various locations, the Japanese Gardens in Van Nuys. And it was just awesome. It was so much fun. We had a great cast. We had great locations. It was a great script. So much fun. I remember the first day shooting and stuff, and I actually have most of the movie shot on my phone because that's how I do my blocking. And every once in a while, it's kind of fun to go back and see what my original idea was, how I wanted to shoot the movie versus how it actually came out. And they're very, very close. You can see a lot of the angles in the movie and stuff are all very Spielberg-y type oneers and stuff. The Jeep driving up into the shot, the guy gets out of the Jeep, they get the weapons, and then they go inside to go face off with the monkeys inside and stuff. And it was just so much fun. That movie was so much fun.
We had a lot of fun watching it. There are some directors that are very, very visual. You mentioned Spielberg a couple of times now. Clearly, he's a guy that creates great images, great vision. There are some directors rather that are also very much into working with the actors. They're more geared that way. How do you see yourself as a director? What kind of director are you?
I am. I hate to say this, but I came up in the industry as an assistant director, so I'm more on the tech side of things.
Okay.
I really wish I would have came from like the more theater side, so I could work more with the actors. But I would say that this genre of filmmaking, I don't think really requires you to work very hard with the actors. I mean, the moment you're reading the teaser and the script, you kind of get it, and you kind of go, "Okay, it's that movie. I just got attacked by a giant octopus."
Right. Not a lot of what's my motivation here? What am I thinking about?
a monkey just burst out of my chest and a meerkat just popped up between my legs. Okay, I got it. I understand what I'm doing now. That's what kind of makes it fun too, because you're not the actors aren't under the stress of oh my god, I got to deliver this line, I got to get this right. The only hard part for the actors that they got to do is just memorize all the technical jargon in these movies, because it gets very, very scientific. Whether or not any of that science is based on reality or not, I don't know. But yeah, that's the hardest part, is just memorizing all of our lead actresses have to memorize all the technical jargon, which is completely outside their comfort zone. So I commend them on that. All of them, from Kim to Erica, and now with Ava in this last one, they have to memorize this technical medical science stuff that they have no idea what they're talking about. It's amazing, and they pull it off. I don't know how, but they do it. They're just awesome.
So yeah, Glenn, I got a question, because I came across this. It's a casting question, and it piqued me because I'm a big sports guy. I heard that Clay Matthews was supposed to actually play AJ in the first one. Is that true?
It had come through, and I know that was kind of something that people had been talking about, but I think it was just a scheduling thing. It just wasn't going to work out. Would have loved to have had him, but unfortunately, I think it was just the dates didn't work out. There was a scheduling conflict or something, but yeah, that ultimately just didn't happen.
Yeah, I think that would have been. I think him playing, because I see him, like, just his personality outside on, like, YouTube and everything. Just to imagine him in that character would have been great. It would have been, because, like I said, I'm a big sports guy anyway, and I love the first movie. So I think that would have been a really nice compliment for me personally to add to my enjoyment, because I actually love the movie.
Thank you. Yeah, would have loved to have had him on it, but unfortunately, it's just one of those things in Hollywood where the timing just didn't work out. That's all.
So you've made your movie. You've made Zoombies. It goes to direct to video, goes to streaming. What's the Asylum looking for in terms of, because this got greenlit for a sequel? So, and when we talk, we do a regular movie review podcast, new stuff like Cruella and A Quiet Place and things like that. And we're always looking at the money. We do a lot of, we do a financial segment about how well the movie did and whether or not it hit, green light, sequel numbers, that sort of thing. What's the, how does it work for the Asylum?
Generally, in my understanding, that the way it works over at the Asylum, and I'm not really speaking for the Asylum, I'm more speaking my experiences with the Asylum. Mm-hmm. And one of the first things that I noticed when I walked into the building was that it's very much about the box cover and the trailer. As long as you have a good box cover and you have a great trailer, the movie is sold. It's got you. It grabs you. It's automatically, you are sold, and you say, I want to watch that movie. And that's pretty much what it is. Once you get into the movie, then that's a whole other ball of wax, because now you're really starting to see what it is, and that you realize that the trailer just shows the best parts of the movie. Sometimes it's rare where you actually start watching the movie and you're like, holy crap, this is watchable. This is really fun. I personally, on the other hand, I'm not a big fan of the movies that I make. I am a fan of course, my movies, my Zombie, that's my baby. But other movies that I've AD'd in the past and stuff, like maybe Titanic 2 or Airline Disaster or Cheerleader Camp or whatever, as much as I am very, very much invested in making those movies with those directors and with those directors of photography on set at the time, I go back and I watch it at the end and I go, ooh, wow, okay. Where's that bottle? Where did I put that bottle of vodka?
Putting on a fake mustache and a hat and walking away like, I know nothing about this.
Yeah, totally just doing that peace out exit. It's like, where did Glenn go? I don't know. I think he might have left. I will say it's the experience for me working with the Asylum and their movies. It has all been, for me, about the experience of making those movies, and just getting some credits under my belt and stuff, getting that resume going or whatever and stuff. I remember saying at one point early in my career working at the Asylum, I said, I'm only going to be here for a year. I'm just going to be here for a year. I'm going to get what I need out of this and move on. It's now been 10 years later, I want to say it's been 12. I started at the Asylum back in 2009. The first one that I did was Princess of Mars with Tracy Lords and Antonio Sabato Jr.
Googling that
And
now.
what's that?
I said, Googling that now.
And that was my first taste. And I was hooked because you don't really get to do the things that you do on Asylum shows with regular, like, indie projects.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to, blow up a car. You don't get chased down by, like, a swarm of zombies. You don't get chased, by a dinosaur in the streets of downtown LA. There's a lot of things that you don't get to do. You don't get to shut down streets, have the fire department on standby. There's a lot of things when the money is really spent in the right places. There's a lot of things that you don't get to do with independent projects in Los Angeles that you would do with the Asylum. There's a lot of fun things: street closures, overnight shoots, giant cranes. Sometimes you get to work with A, B, C, D list actors. We had Vivica Fox on Aquarium. I've worked with Vivica Fox many, many times before we've done some Christmas movies together in the past, and we've worked on the Sharknado movies together. And I mean, there's just an entire list of people that with the Asylum movies, you just get to work with all these names and stuff, and I have a list of these names. I know it.
All right, I got a question. I want to pop in here because you say you get to work with people. I want to talk about the unnamed giraffe that was a person that handled a giraffe in the first Zoombies, who is, I hear, is a good friend of yours. Is there any truth to that rumor that somebody was working the hand puppet that is a good friend of yours that didn't get credited?
Oh my God, I'm not sure. Okay, so there's 3 different giraffes in Zoombies 1. There's obviously the real giraffe, and that was hired by, it wasn't Hooligan Hounds and it wasn't Movie Dogs. It was, oh my God, I can't remember at the time. It's been so long.
Giraffesaurus.
What's that?
Giraffesaurus.
We'll
go with that.
You might be right, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, it's been so long. Sorry. So yeah, we had the real giraffe, we had the CGI giraffe, and then we had a puppet. We had a little rubber puppet that we used for like a few shots. I think it's actually in probably 2 shots in the movie. Yeah, wow, that whole giraffe sequence was just amazing.
Yeah, because the hand puppet, it was supposed to be a friend of yours by Matthew Lillard. As I did read that somewhere.
That's funny. I'm sorry. And who was the puppeteer? You're saying?
It says the hand puppet that is biting one of the interns. The puppet was operated by Matthew Lillard, who was invited to set by director and close friend Glenn Miller.
Where are you reading that? I have to see that.
IMDb. It's actually on the IMDb trivia.
Oh my God! I have to read that. It's so funny. What else is on there?
There was the scene. A scene at Dolphin Point was cut because Thea was feared water.
Hold on, let's see. Kifo the gorilla was originally going to be named Kipo, but writers couldn't decide if the name was from something else. Who puts these trivia things here? Oh my God! Matt says Dolphin Point. The screenwriter Scotty Mullen originally wrote a scene with Lala fighting against undead dolphins there. However, the scene was cut due to Nestor's fear of water. This is so not true.
And the theory of Ellen being being the granddaughter of Dr. Hammond from Jurassic Park, that was one of my favorite ones.
Yeah. Let's see. The park's name Eden is actually an anagram for need essential theme. Oh my God, these are hilarious. These are amazing.
So what you're saying is the IMDb page may not be totally correct?
This is completely fabricated. Okay, the administration building they used is the same building from the 96 Biodome movie. I don't think I don't know, maybe the administration building, it might be, but we did scout Biodome. We did go to Arizona. I do remember that. We went to Arizona. We checked out the Biodome that's in, I think that's Tucson, Arizona. And we went down there and we checked that out to see if that was a viable option.
The best one is the quote, screenwriter Scully Mullins cited Jurassic Park, the birds, Zombies as inspiration of the film. In an interview with Fangoria, I liked that Jurassic Park was what Jurassic Park was trying to do, but I felt there wasn't enough CGI elephants.
Funny. Yeah, we always get a lot of flack for those CGI elephants. I don't think they're too bad, but I mean, everybody's to all their own. Let's see. Oh my God, these are amazing. Matthew Lillard, that is so funny. I actually have a friend who's working with Matthew Lillard right now. But yeah, I don't think Matthew Lillard and I have ever crossed paths ever.
Well, according to IMDb, you're good friends. So
yeah,
you might be able to run with that.
I may have to hit up Matthew and say, "Hey, homie, remember that time you were a giraffe in Zoombies one?" That
He's
is
going to
so
say,
funny.
No, I was in Scooby-Doo, sir.
That is so funny. Yeah, no, Kifo's name originally is, I believe it's Swahili for death. That's where the name comes from.
I actually took a semester of Swahili when I was in college, so that may in fact be right.
That is awesome. Yeah, no, Scotty and I were very much about putting layers in the movies. We wanted to give all the characters last names. And in the first Zombies, at least, all of their last names have something to do with the way that they die. And so, like, oh God, one of the characters, his last name is like Boom Bam or something like that. And yeah, it was Marcus Anderson's character Rex. His last name was like Boom Bam or Boom Bomb or something like that. And that was in some language it meant crushing or squashing, because his head gets crushed by the gorilla in the movie. So, yeah, everybody's last names were based upon how they died. Even, Boris and even some of the like side characters and stuff that you don't really see, that you only see for like the first 10 minutes of the movie. All of their last names were created out of how they were killed in the movie.
That's cool.
So take us to Zombies 2. So Zoombies is clearly a big hit. And so,
just not here in the States, but it is overseas in France, Italy, Japan, everywhere else. It is huge. Here, it's a drinking game.
So between Zoombies and Zoombies 2, there's numbers, there's development, there's production. How did we get to the finished product?
For Zoombies 2, we got a call really, really late in the game at the end of the year. It said, hey, Zoombies 2 needs to go into production and you need to shoot starting in 2 weeks. And we're like, I'm sorry, go again. So what usually happens is that these movies will sit on the calendar at the Asylum for months and months and months, maybe even a year. And, all of a sudden it's like, oh, we have a window of opportunity. What can we throw in it? And it's like, you know what? Why don't we bring up Zoombies 2? It's like, okay, is there a script? No. Can we get a script? Yes. Well, let's get going. So I would say Zoombies 2 from beginning to end. And this was also another thing where it's like, well, where do we pick up? How do we do this? And from beginning to end, we sat down in the office just before Christmas of 2018. And we talked about what this could be. And I said, I would love for this to be a prequel, somehow tied in. If we're going to introduce the virus strain in this movie, why don't we just make this a prequel and show that this is where the virus came from? And then at the end of the movie, let's just try and tie it somehow into the first movie. So it seamlessly kind of goes in like a Rogue One going into New Hope type thing. So from pen to paper, from beginning of shooting, okay, so we wrote the script and we were cast in 2 weeks. So just before Christmas, we started casting. It may have been right after Christmas we actually started casting. We started getting the eco casting. A lot of actors were submitting via email and through websites or whatever and stuff. So we were getting a lot of The eco casting is what they're called now. It's a self-tape process. And we were getting tapes, and we were also scouting, and we decided to go out of LA because we thought it would be cheaper, and there just wasn't a lot of options at the time in LA. Everything was very expensive. So we went to Fresno, California, and checked out a few places out there, and then we met up with the film commission, and they said there's actually a place out here called Project Cat Haven. And they said they have cages and they have animals in them and stuff. It might be worth your while to go check that out. So we went out there and met with the owners, who are great people, awesome people. It's kind of like the Tiger King of cat places in Southern California, but on a nicer level. not the corruption and the craziness that you see on TV in Tiger King.
I was going to say, I guess it's kind of like the Big Cat Rescue here in Tampa, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like that. Which I've actually tried to drive past because I frequent Tampa quite often, and I've tried to get in. It's like this private road you can't get down. It's crazy. So anyway,
I've been here since 2005. I've never actually been there.
That's amazing. So we drove up to Project Cat Haven, met with the owners, and they were very excited to have us. We gave them a copy of the first movie, said, here's what we're doing. And we shot primarily most of the movie there. It was really, really cool. A lot of fun. We made our donations and stuff just because it was just cool. And, the animals there, I can't really speak for them, but if I can remember and recall, these are animals that are donated to them because other places can't afford to take care of them anymore.
Like zoos that shut down, stuff like that.
Yeah, even just owners. They're just like, exotic owners who are just like, yeah, I thought it would be cool to get this cat, and now I can't. Now I can't afford them. I have this gigantic lion that costs $500.
It's the weirdest thing. I couldn't take care of a tiger. It was too much for me.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a really, really cool place. If you're ever in Southern California, if you're in the middle of California, if you're going through Fresno, I would definitely strongly recommend checking out Project Cat Haven. Super cool. They're up in the foothills of Fresno, up near the mountains and stuff, and just a really, really cool place. Nice, peaceful place to go visit and stuff. So much fun.
It does sound fun.
So back to my thought, just real quick. Okay, so from beginning to end, I'm sorry, I'm sidetracking. Zoombies 2 was written and cast in 2 weeks, and the locations, production, everything ready to go in 2 weeks. I believe we started shooting on January 6th, which seems to be kind of like a key number because I think that's when we started shooting Aquarium of the Dead.
Hang on, I have a really nerdy film question because it's something that comes up with our big movies, and I think it would be hilarious to know the answer to this. Do the Asylum executive producers or Asylum executives ever give notes on your scripts?
They do every once in a while, but everything is going so fast that there is no time to play catch up at all. So quite literally, we will get the script and it's like, go shoot the script, go now, go shoot. And then there will be notes coming back in the dailies at night from the producers going, why are the characters doing this? And why isn't somebody doing that? And all these questions and stuff. And I'm like, guys, this is the script that you guys gave us.
I would imagine there's a lot of throwing things at the wall in the editing bay, just like when you get these notes.
It is funny seeing the first cut because the first cut you watch the movie and go, oh God, we have a lot of work to do.
Why is there a boom mic in that shot? What happened here?
And in the defense of everybody involved in these movies, there is quite literally no time to really think about what you're shooting.
Okay.
You get the green light and you're like, you have to shoot in 2 weeks. Go.
Sure.
Do we have a script? No, they're currently working on the script, but you should be looking for a zoo, a park, a lake, a place where you can have, a high-speed Jeep chase. You need to start looking and you need to start scouting now. It's like you'll get the treatment. We do a one-page treatment, and you'll get that treatment and go, okay, we need a facility. We need this. We need a Jeep. We need whatever. So you go off the treatment. You haven't even gotten a script yet, And then by the time you're casting, then the script starts coming through. You start seeing pages because obviously the actors have to read something for the audition. Sometimes they're reading scripts from other movies for the auditions. It's insane. But to everyone's credit and to defend everybody here in the process of making these movies at the Asylum, nobody ever has time to stop and think, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. We need to rewrite this scene.
Can I say this feels so like guerrilla film from like the 70s, and I know it's not. You're not making Dog Day Afternoon, but it's just like that old, that like golden age of filmmaking where directors, from the era that Spielberg and Lucas came from, where it was just they were just jumping out of cars and shooting stuff and running away and things like that. That's what this feels like. It feels almost like really, really fun and anarchic and punk rock.
I will say that the adrenaline of going and getting in a van and just loading it up with a camera with the actors and going down the street. Okay, guys, real quick, we're just going to go down the street. And this, okay, here's an example. Sharknado 2, the second one. We're in New York. We're right dead, smack dab in the middle of Manhattan, okay? We're on the corner of 54th and Broadway. And we have a scene where Ian and the gang are supposed to come out of the subway system and say, where do we go? Oh, I have an idea. We should go down, and exposition. And I said, well, you know what? Let's just go right down the street, right around the corner. And there's a subway. There's some stairs coming right out of a station, out of the ground. Let's just go down there. Let's just get like one or two shots of them coming out of the station, and we'll tie that into another scene. It was like, okay, great. Anthony was like, great, let's just go do that. Quite literally, we packed up the circus. We call it the circus. It's all the carts, it's all the cameras, it's all the crew members, and about a dozen of us went right down the street, right around the corner. We shot this quick scene, and then we went right back to 54th and Broadway and shot the big taxi scene where they're supposed to be hopping across the sharks across the street there. But yeah, it is a lot of one of those, pick up everything. Let's just move around the corner. Let's go shoot this one scene, and then we'll move on, and let's pack up the car and let's just go down the street and shoot the other scene down there and stuff. It's a lot of run and gun and guerrilla filmmaking, like you said.
That sounds, and I know like the dream for a lot of people, whether you're like an indie artsy French new wave guy like Refn, or your J.J. Abrams, is to get the $200 million check and shoot the big budget thing and have the time and and have the big production, but I have to say, the way you're describing it, maybe it's romanticizing, but it just sounds so much fun.
It does.
It is so much fun. I mean, there are very, very stressful times and stuff where tensions are hot and stuff, like, this thing broke and it's going to take 20 minutes to fix it or whatever. It's like, okay, what else can we shoot while we're waiting for, the very expensive chainsaw prop to be fixed or whatever. But other than that, yeah, it is a lot of just everybody collaborating together with the actors, the crew. Sometimes you might get an idea from a grip or something. You have the grip that's just been standing there. And he just goes, "Well, what if you just did this?" And you're like, "That is awesome. Let's do that." Let's do what Bob just said. Bob's got a great idea. Bob, why don't you direct this scene?
How Bob went from grip to director in one thought.
Right, exactly. But yeah, it is very much a collaborative process. I do have some videos on YouTube, and you guys can check those out, and you can use clips from it or whatever, where it shows a little bit of the process on how we make some of those Asylum movies. These are older videos from back in the day when we did like Titanic 2 and Six Guns and stuff. Trying to type in Titanic 2. But yeah, you can see us doing like, the bridge chaos scene, the underwater shooting scene. There's another one where you get to see us use background. Sometimes, we don't get all the bells and whistles and all the background, and, you're supposed to have a crowd of 200 people running in and out of the building or whatever and stuff. Well, sometimes we just get 10 or 12, maybe even 20 people sometimes. How do you make that look like 100 people? Very, very carefully. So there's one scene where Shane Van Dyke was supposed to run inside and stuff and be like, "Oh, come on, everybody, we got to get out of here," or whatever. And he's escorting hundreds of people out of this ballroom. Well, we had like 10 people. So we had, we just did the conveyor belt of people. They would run out of the doors, run into the doors adjacent to them, off screen, obviously, and then run back into the scene, and then run out of the scene, and then run back into the scene, just doing circles through these, these accordion doors or whatever and stuff, and just making circles and making loops and stuff. And it was just one of the best things ever. You can see this video; it's on YouTube. I think it's called Titanic 2 Need More Background or something.
So Zoombies 2 is finished. How did you feel when it was all over? Like, you saw the finished product. The Asylum folks see the finished product. What was the consensus?
Zoombies 2, we were very excited about that one because we shot that one in 8K. I know, it's crazy. But the director of photography, he had a camera that shoots 8K, and I was like, I have never shot 8K. I don't even know how many terabytes that's going to take up. But we actually ended up having to get, a second hard drive for that because we usually get 20 terabyte drives or whatever and stuff. And Zoombies 2 just took up a boatload of terabyte space. We shot that in 10 days. Originally, I think the schedule was a 9-day shoot in Fresno.
My God, you shot that movie in 9 days?
Well, wait till we get to Aquarium. So we shot Zoombies 2 in 9 days, which is about 6 days less than we did for Zoombies 1. We shot it in 2 locations. Again, we shot it at Project Cat Haven. And then we also shot it at this park that was down the street. I can't remember what it was called.
These had to be 12-hour days, right? 12, 16-hour days?
Oh, yeah. Oh, most definitely.
Okay.
What's really hard about that, too, is that we're also coming out of winter solstice. So we don't get a lot of daylight. We're getting daylight from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. maybe. So there wasn't a lot of daylight happening. So, it was kind of tough. So we shot that in 9 days. We had to do 1 day of pickups. We literally went back the day after we wrapped and said, we have to finish this movie. So we went back and shot a whole nother day and a half of footage and stuff. And we were in the can, done. Everything was good. The post-process on that was a lot of fun because I got to work with Jeff Murphy and the gang over at Quest Pacifica. And we had editing bays, and we were just cutting away. There was 3 of us just editing all day. I would have an editing suite. I was in the Jurassic Park editing suite, which was kind of cool. And Katie was in her room and Jeff was in his room and stuff. And we were just hacking away at this movie because we had to deliver in 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks to prep this movie, 2 weeks to shoot the movie, and then 2 weeks to cut and lock this movie. One of the quickest turnarounds I've ever seen. I mean, literally, we shot this in January. It was released in March. I think it came out March 13th or something like that. It was crazy.
Wow.
And DVD. And it was on DVD. So they have to replicate the disc and do all these things. So I'm very much involved in the process, the post process of the Zoombies movies, except for Aquarium. I got busy. But I will cut and edit the movie myself. I will stick through post. I will supervise all the visual effects. I will supervise, the scoring, the mixing. The mixing is very, very important to me because sometimes things get lost, like score elements get lost or sound effects get lost. So I sit with the sound mixer, Craig, and we watch the movie scene by scene, shot by shot, and I say, you know what? Let's bring up the music here. Let's bring down the sound effects here. Let's bring up the sound effects. Let's add a sound effect, whatever. In Zoombies 2, in the helicopter, I'm very proud of this moment. There's the helicopter meerkat attack at the end of the movie. And at one point, Erica Sturtevant kicks a meerkat off the helicopter. And I said, it'd be great here? One of those dog yelps. Do we have a dog yelp? Let's just put that in there. So when you actually see that scene and she kicks the meerkat, you can actually hear a dog yelping sound effect. I said, great, let's keep it. And that was well received too. It did well in Japan. It does well everywhere. These movies are in multiple languages. You can get them in Italian, French, Hindi, Japanese. It's amazing watching some of these movies in different languages because it's just, especially the Japanese ones. The Japanese are just so, just the way that they speak the dialogue and the way it comes off is just very strict and very stern and very exciting. And I wish they could all be in Japanese. It's amazing. Even the posters in Japanese are amazing.
Wow. All right, so we obviously had an issue last year in 2020. We had the pandemic, and I'm bringing that up because the turnaround time between Zoombies 2 and Aquarium of the Dead is like 2 years with the pandemic in between. How did this come to pass with the inability to shoot and all that?
Yeah, so Aquarium was originally supposed to shoot during the pandemic. Obviously, that didn't happen. It happened later, but we were in development early on back in, I believe, November or December of 2019.
Okay.
And we had been talking about it. We were trying to talk about what direction to take the Zombies franchise, wherever we wanted to go. Do we want to do bugs, spiders, and things or whatnot? We settled on Aquarium. I can't remember why, but I had big ideas. I had some bigger ideas. I wanted to have the aquarium open to public. I actually wanted to add that element to the Zombies movies because we've never done that. All the parks have always been kind of closed to the public.
I got to jump in and ask, when Jason and I reviewed Aquarium of the Dead, one of the things I thought of was Jaws 3. And I kind of just asked out loud to nobody in particular, even though I was talking to Jason, like, I wonder how much of Jaws 3 inspired this movie.
I don't know how much it actually inspired the script itself from that point of view, but it definitely inspired me. I've always loved Jaws 3. I saw that in the theater when it came out. I thought it was the funniest thing ever.
It's the best, right?
It is just awesome. I actually have a 3D TV and I watch it sometimes. It's actually kind of fun. But yeah, there was some inspiration definitely pulled for that. I had to sit and I was like, okay, what is it like to shoot at an aquarium during, when it's open for business, whatever and stuff. And then the pandemic hit and I was like, okay, so we had to shelve, the shooting start time on that. And when it came back, it said, okay, we're gearing up for Aquarium. And I was like, okay, cool. Are we going to be able to do some of the ideas that we talked about? No, we're going to have to scale it down. We have to keep our numbers down. And then we found out
that totally makes sense now that you said that, and I'm thinking back on that movie.
Yeah. I mean, originally we wanted to have big crowd scenes and stuff. We wanted to have a bunch of kids in it, like a field trip and stuff. And they're coming to the aquarium for the first time, and then all these things happen. And kids and families are running from, sea animals that are zombified and running around and doing all these things and stuff. But it ended up just being more like the first movie where we had to scale down everything from, the cast and all the kills and everything. I
desperately want to hear the end of this story, but I have to say now that the pandemic is over. And if I need to produce this, I will. We need Aquarium of the World of the Dead. And it needs to be, and you need to shoot it at SeaWorld because God knows we're not using it here in Orlando.
Oh my God. I recently went to, just a sidetrack, I recently went to SeaWorld Orlando back in February. I had never been. And I was just in this shock and awe of like, this is where they shot Jaws 3. This is where they shot Jaws 3. Oh my God. I even took pictures in some of the spots. I got to say this, and I'm sorry to the SeaWorld people, but I am not impressed. I'm so not impressed. I've been to SeaWorld San Diego, and SeaWorld San Diego destroys SeaWorld of Orlando.
But I bet they'll let you shoot there for $1.50.
Oh, I'm sure.
Hey, I've got a fun SeaWorld story. I actually have, when I was like 7 years old, there's somehow, as the story goes, my brother was the mastermind behind this. I actually got a picture with Shamu at the one that used to be in Ohio because my brother threw me down the steps when they was asking for volunteers. So I got picked to, and there's a huge, before my mom passed away, she had it everywhere in any house she lived in. There's a huge black and white picture of me sitting on a large orca. Yeah, and I look like I'm like maybe like 6, 7 years old. But yeah, my mom said that how I got that was because my brother threw me down the steps when they asked for volunteers.
Nice. Oh my, that is so funny. That is amazing. I got a picture with the orca or Shamu a few years back. So right after we wrapped Zoombies 1, I took an excursion and I went down to San Diego and I went to the San Diego Zoo for one full day, and then I went to SeaWorld for another full day. We saw one of the very last Shamu shows before they stopped doing that type of show, and they have a little photo op shop where you can sit on a fake whale or orca whale and get your picture taken on it and stuff. So the producer of Zoombies 1 and 2 and we actually have a picture together sitting on a Shamu orca whale, just going, "Wee, look at us."
Is there an opportunity for the Asylum to greenlight another Aquarium of the Dead so that we can get zombie Shamu jumping out of the crowd as the Blackfish people are filming and they all get eaten?
Oh my God, can you imagine that? If this one does well, which we all hope it will, there might be a sequel to a spin-off, I'm sure.
Okay.
Somewhere down the road.
I'd like to volunteer to be an extra if you need one, because I would love to do that. I would love to be killed.
And that is one of my things, because Anthony got to do the Sharknado movies, and he got to have these giant crowd scenes where just random people get killed left and right. I still haven't had my chance to do that, and I want to invite everybody to come down when that happens, so that they all can get squished by a sperm whale, or eaten by some sort of shark or octopus or whatever. I think it would be amazing.
If you shoot in Orlando, I will come down with my family and push them all into the zombie monster as I run away. It'll be fine.
and I work cheap. A pizza and a 6-pack of beer, I'm good.
Yeah, we're not asking for money here. We just want to be eaten by zombies.
That's pretty much all the budget that they have for anyway.
That's perfect. Works out great.
We just need a shot of an actor walking past, like, I work for peanuts, literally eating peanuts. I'm sorry, we cut you off in the middle of your thing here.
No, it's okay. If you can keep up with the fast-paced shooting schedule that we have over there at the Asylum, then you're more than welcome, man. We shot Aquarium in 6 days.
Oh my God.
Wow. That's insane.
Just so people understand, I don't know how much of our audience is into film like we are, but I think what the average is 6 weeks for a shoot for a feature.
Yeah, normally you have somewhere between 5 and 6 weeks to shoot. I mean, the big Marvel movies, they get months and months, because obviously there's a lot of setup time and stuff, and you're dealing with a lot of A-list actors.
Right.
But your average, say the movie with Bill Murray and Adam Driver. That other zombie type movie, The Dead Don't Die. I think that was shot in something like 30 days or something like that. It was somewhere between 20 and 30 days.
Okay.
And that's a movie that's probably got a budget of maybe $5 million or something like that, or whatever. The budget for Aquarium of the Dam was $70,000. Aquarium of the Dead was $70,000, with I think $10,000 going to COVID. So we had to do, we have to do testing, and we have to get everybody tested and all this stuff. So that's another $10,000 out of our budget. So if you really think about it, somewhere around $60,000. It's about $10,000 a day that we can afford to shoot Aquarium of the Dead.
Okay, so if I can raise a year's salary for a social worker in a jail, that's the reason I'm phrasing it that way. I can be a producer on a movie. Got it. Writing this down.
Yeah, totally. You just have to have a really, really good line producer that knows how to put the money in all the right places and stuff. And Lauren Hood was the producer on Zoombies 1 and 2 and stuff, and she knew her numbers, and she knew what to do, because originally that was going to be an 8-day schedule. And I said, please, for the love of all that is good, please try to make this a 9 or 10-day schedule. She managed to pull out a 9th day. And then when we didn't finish the movie after the 9th day, I said, we got to come back. We got to do this. She's like, well, we're going to go over budget. And we went over maybe $10,000 or something. So, but yeah, Aquarium shot 6 days here in California, Los Angeles, California. And, wow. Wow.
Because of the COVID thing, do you? I mean, I'm pushing it just because that's me. But are you I have unfinished business with this? Or are you nope, moving on? I got other shit to do.
I mean, I still cringe when I watch the movie. There's a lot of scenes where I'm just like, oh God. Because here's what happens when you're on set. All the time in 6 days, you're shooting almost 20 pages a day.
Right.
And all the time that you have to do with the actors is, okay, let me hear you say the lines. Okay, great. You stand here, say your line. You stand here, you say your line. You stand here, you say your line. Okay, now everybody run. And that is all the time you have. That is it. You don't get to say, oh, why don't you, instead of saying the line like this, why don't we say it like this? Because, you're coming from a place of, this aquarium, you built it from the hand. Nothing. You don't get to do any of that.
God, so much of this movie makes so much more sense now. Because that's one of the things Jason and I were talking about was like when you compare Aquarium of the Dead, and this isn't a criticism, it was an observation. It was like, it's like what we're talking about now that makes sense because like a lot of the kills are with like crabs and stuff. And we're like, where's the big whale shot? Have a dolphin on a table. Where's the big dolphin shot? And like, oh, damn it, you couldn't do any of that. Yeah. So and that's another thing too is that because the budgets are so low, and I mean like literally $60,000 to make this movie. I do believe that there's a small visual effects department budget for that as well, which is not that very big, and the department itself is not that big either. It's literally 3 people in a little room that have 2 weeks to do the visual effects on these things. Mm-hmm. Now, doing spaceships and set extensions and cityscapes and explosions or whatever, those are easy things. Animating animals, flippers, tentacles, walking legs, that takes time. Sure. And again, that's 2 weeks. You have 2 weeks to do all the visual effects for the movie and go. How many visual effect shots do we have? You have 100 visual effect shots. Right. And now compare that to like a Pixar movie where you have, a small army of animators. Right. So what those guys are able to turn out in 2 weeks is just magic. It doesn't look like magic, but it is magic because from beginning to end, from creating the model to doing the texturing to doing all the animation and rendering that stuff, which takes like a whole day. It's just 3 people that do that stuff. And it's just insane. Yes. And obviously from script to finished product, there are obviously a lot more animals in the original script. There was a lot more sharks, a lot more walruses. I think at one point we were supposed to see the sea otters attacking people. Now we just hear them off camera. There was, I think at one point there was a whale or something like that, and that got cut. When Jason and I talked about this, I pitched a penguin scene. We were like,
yes, the penguins would have been awesome.
Yeah, we wanted the penguins. Again, I'm going off of what I've seen at SeaWorld Orlando, but I wanted the penguins to like escape from their enclosure and just run roughshod over the park. Oh, it would have been amazing. That would have been so amazing. So yeah, we get the script, we see it, and then the visual effects department, they read the script too, and they come back and they go, "Hey, Glenn, we got to talk." And I'm like, "Oh, God, all right. What do you got?" And he goes, "Well, in our library of past movies, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 animals for you. Okay, what do you got? You got sharks, obviously from all the Sharknado movies, and we have a walrus from something else or whatever, and that's it." And I'm like, okay, the dolphin, and again, they give you a visual effects count. You're only allowed to do like 50 visual effects per movie or something, Mm-hmm. It used to be 100. Now I think it's gone down to like 70 or 75 or something like that. The numbers keep going down as the budgets keep going down. Eventually, they just won't have any visual effects. It'll just be sock puppets. If you need some inspiration for no budget, but you got to put a movie out, go watch Velocipaster.
Yes, that is a good recommendation.
I remember seeing the trailer for that many, many years ago when it was being shopped around or whatever and stuff, and that just looked amazing.
It was. We did a whole show on it.
we reviewed it.
Oh boy.
We do serious stuff, I swear, but occasionally we got
me and Mark do the less serious stuff, the stuff that me and him find. Me and him grew up in this era, like of the USA Up All Night stuff.
Yeah, I had a whole collection of like Soul Cinema and Trauma films back when when buying DVDs was cool. Guys, so I grew up with Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, so. I'm sorry, what was that, Glenn? I grew up with Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. That was my first leap and step into be ultra low budget movies. So, yeah, that was my thing and stuff. I'm not really a big B movie horror guy. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I drew my inspiration from a lot of Spielberg movies back in the day. Because even back then when I was a kid in the 80s and stuff, I was 10 years old, I could watch Chud or I could watch The Stuff. And I could look at those movies and go, that's cheap.
you know, you know. And I was like, yikes! You can see the string, or wow, you can see the seam in the makeup, or whatever. Obviously you can tell Chud is a puppet, whatever. Those are the things that I was just kind of like, yee, please don't let me make those movies ever. Flash forward, cut to 30 years later. Here we are making Zoombies 1, 2, and 2.5.
So we're going to wrap up here. You have been very gracious with your time.
Thank you.
And we love talking to you. And honestly, I could pick your brain for another hour, but we all have things to do. But I do want to ask you a couple more questions, just really, really quick ones. One, so you've done this work for the Asylum. Obviously, you have aspirations to do some other things, higher budget things, not be told, hey, hey, this is a 90-minute movie, but you have 20 minutes to shoot it. Go.
Yeah, exactly.
And your budget's a box of chicken nuggets.
Yep.
So, you get the gig of a lifetime. A major corporation that owns all 3 studios gives you the $200 million check, and you have a laundry list of IP. So I just gave you the dream job. What do you do? What's number one on the wish list?
Go back and remake one of those last Star Wars movies. I don't know.
Oh, Glenn, you've just become my favorite director. Considering I've called George Lucas on this podcast several times, film's greatest monster. Not a fan of the prequels.
We do The Last Jedi, for the fucking Christ. Anyway, I'm not. I would do. Okay, I always have this passion. This one that I want to do. I want to do a movie about the kid coming of age. Where it's like his last birthday as he's turning into a teen. That type of thing where he puts his toys in a box and he sells them type thing and stuff. It's his birthday. He's at the park. Other kids are having their birthdays. I've always wanted. I'm a big Goonies, Explorers. Spielberg, Joe Dante type guy, with the kids on the bikes and stuff, the Stranger Things thing. I grew up with that era. I used to ride my bike with my friends in my neighborhood and stuff. I grew up in an area like that where you have rolling hills for streets and stuff. So I would always love to just go back and revisit one of those type of, fun 80s kids adventure movies and stuff. That's one of my big passions. And obviously, on the bigger budget, some cool sci-fi creature feature, even a dinosaur movie. I would love to do a dinosaur movie. I think it'd be fun.
Are you into comic books at all? Is there a book that you've read?
I used to be back in the day. I remember I used to read a bunch of Batman comics of the 70s. Mm-hmm. And then later, in the 90s and stuff, I was doing Uncanny X-Men, and there was when Xavier lost his powers or became bad or whatever and stuff. I went through that whole phase.
Hey, I hear Gambit needs a director.
Oh, God. Is that movie ever going to get made?
That is a long-running joke on here. For as long as I've been podcasting, we've been joking about the Gambit movie.
I remember when that was going to get made. I remember all that talk. Everybody was, Gambit. Oh, Remy's going to get a movie. Nope, never going to happen.
Yeah, it has changed directors a lot. It's one of Hollywood's really fun stories. So quick hits here, and then we'll let you go. What's your favorite thing about filmmaking?
There's so many things. It is the whole package. It's all of it. Obviously, I like to be the big dog on set. I mean, because I come from this world of assistant directing and stuff, where you're kind of the ringleader and stuff, and you're kind of coordinating amongst all the different departments what to do and stuff on set. I would say it's just the creating. It's the creation of this product, because it goes from script to shooting to editing, and when you see all 3 things happening, when you're reading the script and you're going through casting, and then you're doing the scouting, those are the most exciting things. Then when you're shooting, you're with the crew, you're with the cast, and you're like, look, there's that starfish, it's coming for you, or look over there, that lion's chasing you, or whatever and stuff. And we all have to play make believe, so it all brings us back to our childhood, and that's kind of the fun stuff. Is like, quick, hide down behind this rock and stuff. Okay, quick, you're hiding behind the rock. You hear something, you're hiding. You hear something. Okay, now quick, get up, grab your stuff, and run. And it's just plain make believe, and that's one of the best parts that I love about filmmaking is just seeing all your hard work being put up on the screen. You get to finally see it, and you're like, holy crap, that works. And that is awesome, and that is fun. And you put the big swelling adventure music behind it all and stuff, and you really start to see it come together, and I don't know. It's just the whole process. I've always loved it. I grew up watching the behind the scenes of Thriller and Empire Strikes Back, and those were the two things that really inspired me to make movies. I practically grew up on the back lot of Universal Studios, seeing Jaws pop out of the water, the King Kong before it burned down, that whole thing. Just the behind the scenes and how it's all done has always been one of my favorite parts of filmmaking.
What was your favorite movie that you worked on?
Ooh, there's so many. I want to say, and I hate to say this, I keep bringing it back to Titanic too. We had so much fun on Titanic too because we had underwater sets. We had to make sets that were built upside down because the ship was submerged upside down. We actually got to shoot on the Queen Mary, which was supposed to be one of the sister ships to the Titanic. It was just, big budget, low budget movie. There was a lot of money thrown into that movie. We had a few names. We had Bruce Davison in it. We had Brooke Burns. We had DC Douglas who was in it. We had a few people in it. And
adding to my Amazon Prime list.
It was just a fun thing to make and stuff, and just create, and icebergs, and you had 100 background running around on this ship and stuff, and it was very fun. Also, Six Guns. Six Guns was another one. This is going back to my early days as A. Dean, when I was still very excited about my career. Six Guns was fun because, again, it was a kid in the candy store. You were given a whole Western town and go make a Western. And it was like, wow, we're in this Western town for 10 days. And it was like, we have horses and we have guns and we have bad guys and we have, the girl that's being saved by the bounty hunter good guy. And it was so much fun. We had a bar saloon scene, where they're playing cards, and it was just having so much fun on set. We literally would get there early on set just so that we could talk about the day and talk about how much fun we were about to have. And I in every one of my movies that I work on, I shoot a boatload of behind the scenes stuff. So there are hard drives sitting in my house of just footage, of just days upon days upon days of behind the scenes footage that nobody will probably ever see, of how we make these movies, and just the drama, the fun, just everything, just the entire process of filmmaking, making these movies at the Asylum, and other companies too. I mean, there's other, Cinetel, there's Mar Vista, there's a bunch of other companies that make these type style movies. Of course, Asylum being, the schlocky kings that they are, that's where the fun is. But yeah, it's just fun, man.
What's next? What's the next project you're working on?
We're hoping that Zoombies 3 will take off. We got a few ideas. We want to kind of take it out of the park and into the streets. So, we'll see what happens there and stuff. There's a few ideas being mulled around for Zoombies 3. Currently, right now, I'm just back at my day job. I'm an assistant director by trade. That's what I do. That's what brings in the money. More recently, I got to do a show with David Duchovny in Mississippi. I do a handful of Lifetime movies every year. I try to pick at least one indie film per year to get away from the studio system. There's just back to the day job, back to A-Dean. I'll be going probably back to Oklahoma or Georgia here in the next few weeks or so.
Well, I want to thank you. Jason, did you have any last questions before we go?
No, I mean, you pretty much covered everything. Just one real quick one. Out of the three, which is your favorite Zoombies movie?
That's so hard because all of them have so much fun. I want to say the first one. The first one is the original. The first one is the one that got us really excited about the concept. We had more days. We had more money. We just had a lot more things to do on that one. I want to say the second one probably looks the best. We just had more time in post, I believe. And I'm not sure. All of them have their positives and stuff, but I want to say probably the first one, definitely. The first one it's got a lot of fun, a lot of magic. a lot of things that we were discovering and stuff, and we were experimenting with a lot of things with real animals and puppets and CG, and yeah, we're just running around, just being kids in the candy store, just running around making a movie.
Glenn, once again, thank you for your time. This was a great interview. I love talking to you.
You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Where can everyone find you? Go ahead and plug what you would like to plug.
Sure. Instagram, Glenn R. Miller on Instagram. You can check me out there. I've been promoting the crap out of Aquarium of the Dead, so you'll see a lot of content on there. Aquarium of the Dead has an Instagram. The Shining Sea Aquarium, which is the fictitious aquarium in the movie, has an Instagram. Zoombies Movies is on Instagram. You can also check me out on Twitter on Glenn on Set. That's Glenn with 2 N's, on set. And every once in a while, I just post some behind-the-scenes stuff on what I'm doing, where I'm at, which director I'm currently working with and whatnot and stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it, man. You can find me out there. And just, again, Aquarium of the Dead is out. It's everywhere. Like, when I say everywhere, it's everywhere. Every streaming platform has Aquarium of the Dead. You can check it out on Amazon, YouTube, iTunes, Apple TV, On Demand, Vudu, Hulu, everything. Tubi, I think, has it. It's everywhere. Check it out, man. And, yeah, let's fingers crossed, Zombies 3 happens.
Well, we're all pushing for that. You've got fans here at the W2M Network and the Radulich Broadcasting Network. Yeah, man, go check out all 3 of his movies. They were all really super easy to find. I found them all on Amazon. And then listen to our podcast where we heaped on the praise of these movies. We had fun. Thanks again for Jason Teasley. I'm Mark Radulich. That was Glenn Miller, director of the Zoombies Trilogy. Be well, Thanks. Be safe, and behave.